Okay, we are live. So, welcome to the Crypto Hour, everyone. Today is the 15th of Friday, the 15th of November. And there's been last week, obviously, I didn't do a Crypto Hour as I was away. But there's a lot that has gone on since the last time we met, which was 2 weeks ago on the 1st of November. So I remind you that what happened in between was the little thing of the American election. And so that Trump got elected, and we're going to have a look at, what happened. Not what happened in the election, but what happened in the markets after that. Okay, so let me just share my screen. I just still got some arrivals, so let me just wait a couple of seconds. Okay, let's get started. Let me share my screen. Okay, so first of all, let's start. So this is what happened to Bitcoin. Obviously, the market likes Donald Trump at the moment, or at least what it means for the crypto markets. Okay, so the 6th of November is when I think it was like Tuesday, wasn't it? It was the 5th was the vote, and then the 6th is when basically we got news that pretty much that Donald Trump had won. So you can see what happened. We've been into this kind of a sideways trading pattern now all the way from March, when we had the new all-time high that was generated about 73,000. We are now destroyed that, and we made a new high of 93,000. Okay, so big jump. This is kind of like basically the effect of the election. So okay, a 34% jump in the price of Bitcoin. Now, if you have been listening last time, what did I tell you? I'll just make it a little bit bigger, just in case you can't see it. Okay, so let me just take this off, make things a little bit clearer. So we were here on the 1st of November. Okay, this is when we met. So price was about 70,000. I told you, a good place to, if you want to buy some more Bitcoin, this is a really good place between 68 and 65,000. Okay, so if you didn't buy Bitcoin then and you regret it, then you should kick yourself. Okay, not because it was me, but because obviously you missed a big opportunity. Okay, because this doesn't happen very often. Okay, but what can we expect? At the moment there has been, so if we look at these, what we call these rapid increase in prices, like impulse phases. Okay, so this is the last one that we've had, which is from when the ETFs were launched. So if we kind of like translate this into the current move, so if we got to go from here, the low of the pre-election, that will take us to around the $100,000 range. Okay, which is not too far from where we already got to the 93,000. So this is just like it's not like a very scientific way of doing things, but it's just history tends to repeat itself. So we can see that this is pretty much what happened. So this is like one move, 2 moves, 3 moves, and pretty much very similar size moves. Okay, and all you can do is that obviously Bitcoin is one of the things that if you are buying into Bitcoin is because of what you believe about it. But if you can get yourself at the beginning of one of these moves, then it would make you really happy, because rarely when price goes up to establishes a new level, rarely it goes back beyond it, unless the whole market changes, we go into like a bear market. But as you can see, the kind of moves is that there is a jump in price, then a sideways pattern, and another jump in price, another sideways pattern, and so on. This was particularly long in terms of sideways time that we spent in between these moves. And I think it got quite a few people by surprise, because nobody was expecting this high to be broken in March. But once it did, the expectations were for these new highs to happen before now. Okay, so this breaking and creating a new all-time high above 73,000 only happened after the election. But the expectation was that that would happen before then. But hey-ho, this is life. Okay, what other things have happened in the time is there have been a couple of interest rate adjustments. So the UK lowered the interest rate, the US lowered interest rates as well by quarter of a percentage point. We're now at 4.75%. Nothing particular worth of note in terms apart from the elections in economic news. It's just more of the same. And going forward, let's have a look what the economic calendar has in store for us. I mean, there's not much today, just the retail sales being announced. We had for the pound, we had GDP numbers. There's a slight, lower than expected, like a minus figure compared to last month, and the GDP preliminary quarter on quarter was expected to. It's lower than expected as well. So not particularly good news for the pound. We have retail sales later in a few hours for the US, but nothing too important. If we go on next week. Sorry. Okay. Again, it's not a particular heavy week in terms of news. We got inflation numbers for Canada and for the UK. And then the usual kind of like the unemployment figures for the US that come every Thursday, so there's nothing special. And we just have some manufacturing and services surveys for the euro, for the Canadian dollar, and for the US dollar, and for the pound. So it's all about the manufacturing and services PMI in different different parts of the world. So nothing major that we have to really watch for next week. So you can go on, and if you are thinking of doing anything, there's no particular events to watch too closely. Only if you are doing something with the Canadian dollar or in kind of like Canadian dollar-based shares, then obviously be aware that on Tuesday there is going to be these figures released that can create volatility around the time of the release. That's just that really. And again on Thursday for the US, again the unemployment claims, especially if they different from what the market expects, can move the markets substantially. Okay, now let's go into crypto and thinking what has happened into crypto now. Apart from Bitcoin, another thing that you might have heard as well that is, we often talk about Cardano in this hour, that we are kind of like Cardano friendly, and we have, Jonathan normally comes to our session. That is a Cardano stake pool operator. The Cardano price basically pretty much doubled in a week simply on rumors. Okay, and this is just, I want just to tell you that because of how quickly things can happen in crypto. So there's a lot of people that think, oh my God, nothing is happening. I'm not talking about now, but before things are not moving. Then when things happen, they happen really, really quickly. So let's just give you an example. So this is Cardano. All right, let me just remove this. This is not relevant anymore. This is Cardano. So this is where we were a few days ago. Why the zoom controls are always in the way of seeing the charts? Okay, so this is the post-election rally, okay? And Cardano went pretty much from like 30, just above 30 cents to well over 60. So it doubled in a matter of less than a week. But what this part of it is the rally that most crypto are seeing, because and it's similar to the rally, to the Bitcoin rally. The other half of the equation, though, is the kind of rumors about the founder of Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, which is rumored to then be part of I don't know exactly, it's not quite clear if it's going to be an official role in the administration, the Trump's administration, to to then discuss and create cryptocurrency regulation, or as he said in his Twitter space, that is going to set up an office in Washington D.C., and whether that is just for lobbying or whether it's going to be involved in official capacity remains to be seen. It's not quite clear at the moment. But it's not, knowing Charles Hoskinson is not the kind of person that generally speaks without foundation. He's quite measured generally in his approach. So if he has mentioned something like that, there might be, at the very least, discussion at an advanced stage. So just the rumors of that caused Cardano pretty much to double in a week. But this is the kind of move, this kind of moves, once we start the bull market, which I don't believe is actually started yet, believe it or not, it is the kind of things that were going to become commonplace for a few months. But you're going to see several weeks of this type. And for a lot of, apart from Bitcoin that's made new highs, a lot of other tokens, including Cardano, is one of the top 10, we're still very far away from the 2021 high, which was just over $3. At the moment, we're still at 60 cents. And there's many coins that are in the same position. So Bitcoin has made new highs, but the bull market is when all the altcoins start really growing at a really strong pace. Is still nowhere near even having started. Even with Cardano doubling, we're still below the 2024 highs, which was about in March when we had the first Bitcoin all-time high broken. At the time we were at 80 cents. At the moment we're 60. So there's still a lot of upside, and this is just one token because there was some news related to it. But if you look at most of the other tokens, we're going to see a similar situation. Even Ethereum, for example. And Ethereum now has, obviously as an ETF as well attached to it, so it's become an institutional product. Even Ethereum is far away from the 2024 high, let alone the all-time high. So 2024 high was $4,000. At the moment we're at 3,000. So there's like considerable upside potential, and Bitcoin really has been the only asset that has really broken the previous records. But for everything else, we're still far away from that. If we look at the ETFs, okay, so this is the Bitcoin ETF. And by the way, that we keep talking about the Grayscale ETF, okay, and the reason why the Grayscale ETF keeps seeing outflows is here. Can you see here on the right column? It says expense ratio. See, most of them are 25 point, %.
Can you increase the size of the screen? Maybe I'll zoom in. Thank you.
Okay, so the last but one column says expense ratio here. Okay, now for most of the funds, most of the ETFs, the expense ratio goes, the highest is at 0.39%. Most of them are 0.25 or 0.2%. But the Grayscale one is 1.5%. Okay, so that's the reason why funds flowing out of the Grayscale trust and other people are just cashing in, or then the funds are reinvested in the other funds because they got much lower cost. Okay, the reason why all the funds haven't come out of it yet is for tax reasons. Obviously, this trust existed before the ETFs were launched, so people might have been sitting with these shares for a few years. If they sell now, it's going to be at a vastly increased price because maybe they bought into the Ethereum ETF, the Bitcoin trust when Bitcoin was a few $100 or a few thousand. So they would have a big capital gains tax to pay if they realize the shares now. Okay, but if we look at the flows, the US dollar flows, look at from the 6th of November. Look how much money poured into Bitcoin ETF. Can you see that? Well, that's 2 billion, 4 billion, over $4.5 billion in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Okay, and it's so this is money. This is institutional money. That was sitting on the sidelines waiting for for the volatility to be spent around the election, and after that, when the results were announced, basically, and there was some certainty regarding the election, that's when all these funds were deployed. Okay, now this is generally it's like new money into Bitcoin, because if you wanted to buy Bitcoin, you're already crypto savvy, you would have bought it through Binance or or any other way. You wouldn't have waited for the ETFs to be launched to buy it. But this is kind of like considered like new money. There has been some profit taking. You can see yesterday there was an outflow of about 400 million. But for the 6 previous days, there's a lot of money poured in, and we are getting close to like 30 billion from the launch of inflows. Okay, there was already a lot of money in Grayscale, so this is the extra money on top of what Grayscale already had. Okay, so if you see Grayscale here add 20 billion of dollars are being sold from the Grayscale Trust. So this 27 billion means that there has been an inflow of 48 billion in total. Now, but we discount what has been sold out of Grayscale. Okay, so all the other funds are collected about 48 billion, and Grayscale sold off 20. So this is why we always look at this and look at the size of the Grayscale Trust, because this is where the selling pressure is coming from. And as this becomes smaller, it means that there is less selling pressure in the market. Now, it started as biggest by far. It started with 600 and I think it was about 625, 630,000 Bitcoin. So they already sold off 2/3 of it. Now, this is the BlackRock ETF. It's already more than double Grayscale, and the Fidelity one is only about 20 billion away. So give it maybe another month or so, probably Fidelity will overtake Grayscale as well. So the relevance, the reason, what I'm telling you basically in short, is that the relevance of the selling pressure coming from Grayscale is becoming less and less. Okay. Now, since the election, also there's been a big change in the Ethereum ETFs. Again, we'll go to the US dollar. So you get similar thing, obviously much smaller amounts, but you can see now, funds flowing into the Ethereum ETFs as well. So 150, 280, 580, 670, 750. So about 800 million flowed into the Ethereum ETF. And if you remember, way before the election, you see the red dominates. So there were a lot more red days than green days. And since the election is all green. Okay. And you can see now, for the first time, we have a green total. So since these ETFs were launched, now 238.5 million have been invested in, there have been positive inflows into the Ethereum ETF. Again, the Grayscale one has seen an outflow, 3.2 billion. So all the others, it means that money flowing in onto all the other funds are a total about 3.5 billion, and the difference is in this one. So now, although again yesterday there was a little bit of profit taking on Ethereum as well, now the money flowing into the Ethereum ETFs is starting to have a positive effect on price as well. This is like a long-winded way to say, well, now we have institutional money both in Bitcoin and Ethereum pushing the price higher. Ethereum is more relevant than Bitcoin for what they described as the altcoin, which means all the other crypto coins on the market are from Bitcoin, because a lot of them using Ethereum virtual machine. So is basically the way that the chain works is based on Ethereum technology. And so increasing Ethereum price is more closely connected to the rest of the rest of the market going up as well. So the rest of the other tokens. Now, another kind of important thing to mention, and things that were not even discussed years ago, or even a few months ago, is talking about this kind of like a Bitcoin national reserve. And I know that Trump mentioned it during the election. Whether it will come to exist or not remains to be seen. But Michael Saylor is saying that obviously with this company, MicroStrategy is bought Bitcoin repeatedly and is still buying, still borrowing money to buy Bitcoin because he believes that the price will keep going up for the long term. His idea is that buying 200,000 Bitcoin a year and keeping them as a reserve would eventually decrease the national debt by 45%. But that number, first of all, remains to be seen. But the fact, if this administration would actually follow through and start buying Bitcoin, do you think that may be like kind of big news for the Bitcoin world? I mean, 200,000 Bitcoin are 1% of the total Bitcoin in circulation. So it's a big amount. Remember that Bitcoin has a maximum amount that will be hit next century, of 21 million. No more can be made. So 200,000 is around 1% of that on that total. So, but apart from this is just like an idea. There are kind of like some more practical things they're already at work. Like Pennsylvania is now, they introduce a bill that it hasn't passed yet, but if it passes, the bill will establish a Pennsylvania Bitcoin strategic reserve. Okay, so basically to invest the funds, the treasury, the Pennsylvania's savings, let's say, in Bitcoin, or at least 10% of it. So, the fact that these things are being discussed, they're actually going through the state lawmakers and being talked about openly in the media. It's something that, when a few years ago in 2020, 2021, you had to dig in page like 27 of newspapers to find anything about crypto. Now this is like almost like front page news now. So why does it matter again? It matters because it makes people realize that this is here to stay. So the next bit of information I want to share with you. Now, there are 18 different US states, okay, not me and you, but this is like states suing the SEC, okay, accusing Gary Gensler of crypto overreach. So if you reach that, this has been reported by Fox News. So they allege that Gensler leadership has veered into extreme government overreach, stifling the cryptocurrency sector. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But the lawsuit accuses Gensler of adopting a regulation by enforcement strategy, which, according to the states, sidelines their authority over local economic matters. They argue this aggressive stance isn't about safeguarding investors, but rather about exerting control over the industry. Now, what they are saying now in this is what in crypto has already been discussed for now at least a couple of years. In the fact that, a lot of crypto projects were begging almost Gary Gensler to give them a regulation. You're going to say, well, they can't operate if you can't tell them what they can or cannot do. Nobody will invest big funds for something that could be, then pretty much at a whim from the regulator can be deemed to be unlawful. Okay, so, and instead of kind of like trying to put pressure on legislators, because this is it's not the fact that the Gary Gensler is doing something off his own back, but this is basically by enforcing regulations that haven't been written yet. Is creating a law, and that's not his place. Okay, that's down to the state legislators to do. people they are elected, in the local state parliament to do this. It's not his responsibility to create this legislation. His responsibility is simply to apply the existing legislation. So this is a big thing, and it probably because they've done it now because Trump said one of the first thing he would do would be to sack Gary Gensler when he comes into power in January. We'll see if that comes to pass as well, probably. But it's another way of putting it out there that this is something that's here to stay. Yes, it needs to be discussed, it needs to be regulated, but again, it's here to stay. And why do you think these states are doing it? They're not doing it out of their own back because they think is the best thing to do. Otherwise, they would have done it 10 years ago. They've done it simply because of pressure from their electors. They know that this is a vote winner, or it could be a vote loser if they went against it. So this is why the simple reason why they're doing it. Sorry, yeah, there's a couple more things. So this is an article about Joe Lubin, which is one of the original founders of Ethereum, and he also is now the founder of ConsenSys. I don't know how many of you know ConsenSys. Probably not many of you will recognize the name, but ConsenSys is the company behind MetaMask. Okay, so they are creators of MetaMask. And now it's talking about now what is not often talked about, and the reason is what really is blockchain and cryptocurrency is not like the meme coins or this craze about this or things that people do to just speculate on useless things. But it's really what is described as a paradigm shift that will be heard around the world. And it's all about, is according to his word, about personal sovereignty. I hope I said it in the right way. So it says that ConsenSys, so this company, is on a mission to catalyze a network state within the emerging decentralized Web3 and AI global economy. Yeah, let's translate that in plain English. Okay, but simply, and this is true, he said that for years, the crypto industry has been living in fear and unable to engage in activity that should be natural for Web3 companies. By the way, if you want to read his whole rant, you can get it on Twitter. If you go on Joseph Lubin, excuse me, you can see it's written like 13 different tweets about this. I'll just summarizing the most important bits. And this is kind of true, is what in crypto everybody's been complaining about. We've been operating in a climate of regulatory uncertainty, gaslighting and carpet bombing from the SEC, stifling our progress. When you think about it, that crypto is one of the blockchain more widely is considered to be one of the main technology of the future. What the ECC has done is like limited the development of an important new industry in the US. And because a lot of developers have now moved outside of the US because they couldn't keep operating in that environment. So so it says that what they've done is that kill or slow the progress of our industry. Now, what they're saying, this is the beginning of a partnership with the community to build a network we all want to be a part of. We are all in the early stages of discovering what self-sovereignty means for ourselves and our community. So we'll be living more of our lives on-chain as our finances, identities, communications, art, and entertainment are increasingly mediated by open networks and decentralized protocols. So a lot of the things we already do, but we've given away our rights to companies like Microsoft, like Google, like Amazon of this world. All these things will move on. The next step is move on into being run by decentralized protocols. and with nobody in the middle siphoning out value for a private company, but the benefit being shared instead with the market participants. And so that's the biggest change in crypto, but also giving all the market participants the way to create their own rules, their own experience of the world, and how they want things to be run. So we are in a process of rewriting the way that we live with each other, and the rules that are governing all that. Again, if you think about Elon Musk, which was like big part of Donald Trump's campaign, talking about, in a few years establishing a colony on Mars, for example. Now, when that is established, so obviously it will be completely separate from Earth. What rules should govern that colony? Should we use the same rules that have been used, for example, in the UK for the last 500 years and more, or can we think of something that's more fit for purpose and more apt to govern a new entity in this in this new world? And this is what we're talking about here. This idea that this is decentralized world is there to be created. So this discussion now is happening, is gathering pace, and it's not just something that's discussed in the crypto world by a few nerds, but it's something that's now making its way into public consciousness. And there are some networks that put a lot more work into this than others, and probably those networks might then come to, I would say, float up towards the top because they are doing things that are more relevant to people, and at the end of the day is serving a need, serving a purpose, and that's the reason why some projects then eventually do well or not. Another couple of things, and then we'll go on to questions. Talking about Bitcoin and different metrics that show us what's happening, and there's a couple of things that are encouraging, especially like if we look at sometimes this is the also not just from one side we have kind of the price action, on the other side we'll see the level of whale ownership. So if you can see what happened here as price went up, so whales are described as the biggest owners of Bitcoin, the ones that are over 100 Bitcoins in their portfolio, in their account. So they are kept accumulating. So they're not saying sometimes the price action is due to kind of like new entrants. In this case, is all down to the majority of it is down to big buyers. Okay, so they are accumulating even as the price reaches new highs. They're still accumulating. Sorry. Let me go away from this. And even on other metrics, this kind of, this graph is market value to realized value. It's as you can see, is very far away from. It's very close to the to the 0% reading, which means it's not at all in either overbought or oversold territory. So we don't have to worry too much. It's going to be a big drop in price, because there aren't any like heat signals that will tell us that the market is cooling down and is ready to sell. So although that we have a healthy now what is called the net unrealized profit, is still not at a level where there should be some strong moves or strong corrections, let's put it that way. So it's the trading signals are still very, very positive at the moment. So this is we already gone through. Okay, so pretty much I've covered the things that I wanted to cover. Just a very quick just look at one of the metrics that we have been discussing in the previous weeks. Which is this outstanding mortgages by interest rate. Okay, now if you can see, this is the reason why we haven't seen a really a strong downturn in the US, because a lot of people still have fixed their mortgages at quite low levels, you know, pre-2020. So if you can see here in 2022, you know, at the top we have the mortgages that pay 6% or more, and then they go, this is 5 to 6, 5 to 6, 6 to 5, 5 to 4, 4 to 3, and below 3%. Can you see that you can see the trend now? So since the mid of 2022, now obviously as some of the long-term loans get renegotiated, they get renegotiated at a much higher price. So now the percentage of loans that pay more than 6% is increasing, and all the other durations are slowly decreasing. Okay, so that means that there is now, you know, the downward pressure. So we'll see this over the next few readings as well, you know, that would, you know, again continue this trend for a while longer until interest rates are then low enough for it to be stable. So there's a big difference between you know, the US, where loans are set, you know, a lot, the more common loan is like a 30-year mortgage, and where people are used to fixing the mortgage rate for a long time, to Europe, where the floating rate is still very popular, and so the effects of increase of interest rates are felt, you know, straight away. This is, in a way, in the US, what happens is that the effect of these increases take a long time to then show up in the economy. But there are also other indicators in the number of, you know, jobs available compared to number of people unemployed, that are showing some, again, for a while, a bit showing some signs of deterioration. So it's something that we need to have in the back of our mind. At the moment, the market is still expecting this like Goldilocks scenario. But what does that mean? So expectation.
Now, when we designed this community, it was point that we thought.
Right. So the expectations are that the interest rates will come down to a level of around 3 to 3.5%. Now, this is based on current assumptions, and that level is a lot higher than the 2% that the US has been working at. You know, on the long term, the average has been around 2%. So any surprise to this could cause, you know, the Fed to cut a little bit heavier than planned. And so what would be the products that would benefit from that? Those would be, again, probably bonds at the moment. That would, because at the moment they're still offering, you know, long-term bonds are still offering yield of around, you know, 4.6, 4.7%, which is historically very high. So it encourages people, you know, they want to secure a regular return to still purchase these products. So and any surprise, so anytime the interest rates go down, the value of these bonds go up, because now they're offering an interest rate that's not available elsewhere in the market. Okay, so that's just a little thought going forward. Like, we always have to be ready for anything that may be different from what the majority expects, because when that happens, then there can be some really nice opportunities, and I think this is one of them. The other, you know, the other sector that can be affected also by a decrease in price is the housing sector. Okay, just saying. Okay. All right. So I really want to know the results of the last night's football. Let me stop sharing. Let's see any questions that we may have. Feel free to fire away. Chad, you said before that you had some questions. I think you
I'm all good, thank you, Luca.
you're fine. All right. Anybody, guys? Any questions?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So you said towards the beginning about Bitcoin that the peak, there was a surprise in the market that the all-time high went to 73 in March, and that was a little bit earlier than what the market was expecting, but also that the recent all-time high was a bit later than the market was expecting. And in the past, you've explained the first peak as maybe a reaction to the ETF. The first ETF was launched in January. And I'm wondering, because oftentimes you can hold crypto and at any given day go like, wait, where are we in the market? Like, I need some context. Like, where are we in the market, so that I'm not making decisions on buying and selling based on how I feel today, but I'm actually looking at what do I expect. And my question is, how do you know when we've reached the top? like what will be the signs? Like, I can now see signs going this way, but what will be on the other side of it? What will be the signs that it's then going the other way?
Well, there are some signs in in the relationship. So there are some on-chain signs that can be observed. I mean, nobody can know 100% certainty that when we reach the top, but there are some on-chain signals that in the past have been quite good at pointing out market tops and bottoms. But having said that, what we're observing right now, at the moment, we're seeing Bitcoin say starting to go to the moon. And I'd say starting because I don't see any signs that they have the normal, bank of mom and dad are got involved yet. So this is just at the moment just some institutional money starting to be deployed. And there have been examples now, the first pension funds, the first investment funds, they have started to put a little bit of their money in Bitcoin. There are companies that are talking about doing the same thing that MicroStrategy has done and investing their reserves into Bitcoin. So these are all like steps that take a while to appear in the market. And if you look at the rest of the market, apart from Bitcoin, it's still, including Ethereum, everything is still very, very far away from the previous market tops, even from the 2024 tops. Not even, if we look at the 2021, we're still talking another big distance. So, the bull market hasn't really got started yet. A lot of altcoins are still closer to the to the bear market level than they are to the previous levels, or let alone having exceeded the like Bitcoin has done. So we're not even at the beginning of it. In the past, these up moves have started quite late after the halving. We're talking about kind of like end of December. This is when these moves have started. So this time I'll say we just obviously most of the market has moved up post Trump, let's call it that way, post the Trump election, but not apart from Bitcoin, anything else, not in a very, very significant way. They just at the beginning, the first signs of it. So don't worry about it for at least another 6 months. You're okay. and then we see at least this is what I believe. We can all be wrong, but I think there's a long time yet, because this time we have two forces at play, not just the one. So we got the institutional money, and I just remind you that the 3 trillion that now the crypto market is worth are just like a fraction of what's available in the other institutional markets. So even a small percentage of redeployment of capitals between one and the other is going to be massive for the crypto world. And I think it's something that I was discussing yesterday as well, is that in January we're going to have a bombshell that will hit the market, which is connected to MicroStrategy. You all know now MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor's company, which has got is the biggest single company buyer of Bitcoin. Okay, and what's happened is that although they've already done pretty much like a 10-to-1 in this past year or so, but apart from that, even this 10-to-1 that they've done, because in a way they become almost like a leverage Bitcoin opportunity, almost MicroStrategy, because what they keep doing, they keep not just investing their own reserves, but they keep borrowing money and buying Bitcoin with it. So what's happening is that at the moment they are marking their Bitcoin holding at the cost price. So in their balance sheets, where every quarter when they announce their results, the price of Bitcoin is valued at purchase cost. This is what it's on their balance sheets. In January, they change in their accounting system, and they will price Bitcoin at market rates. So there will be a mark to market. So what's going to happen when they announce the results after that is MicroStrategy all of a sudden will have a monster quarter with incredible results. And but not about so there are two things that could happen. One of it is that the price of MicroStrategy will then reflect their relationship, that the earnings are compared to the rest of the Nasdaq and S&P 500, which have got at the moment some incredible price to earning ratios of, in many cases, especially for the technology company of 50 and above, where after this probably MicroStrategy price to earning is going to be like 4 or 5. And so either the price of MicroStrategy will bounce to an incredible level, or the other possibility is that the rest of the market will be priced according to MicroStrategy's price to earning ratio. So either there's going to be a market crash to bring the other valuations close to the valuation of MicroStrategy, because at the end of the day, if you invest in company, so why should you invest in any company if you can just buy Bitcoin and do better? And that's going to be the big thing that is going to sooner or later hit the market. One participant at a time, and thinking, what the hell am I doing? Why am I buying and selling shares when I can just buy Bitcoin? So anything would be priced in relation to that. If it can do as well as MicroStrategy, why don't we just follow them? So this is from an investor point of view. Why should you then buy company A, company B, company C when we can do better just doing that? So it'd be a very interesting time, and I think if we got option A, that kind of MicroStrategy gets repriced, and obviously that takes with himself as well a repricing of the whole crypto sector in institutional money, which is going to be something that has never been seen before. That's option A. Option B is like could be a lot more shocking, I think we could have a mix of the two, with a lot of share prices, coming down, and also crypto and MicroStrategy going up significantly. We'll see what happens. It's no financial advice, but I'm just saying, watch this space. Watch the couple of the next earning announcement from MicroStrategy and what it does to the market, and we'll see. Okay. Other questions? No, we're all satisfied. You also either got no idea about what's going on, or you are too shy to ask a question. Ray, I think you unmuted yourself. Did you want to ask something?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Luca. We talked about Bitcoin and Ethereum during this hour. What's your view on the altcoin market, and where could that shoot to in the next 18 months?
All right, let's go and have a look at it. Let's go and have a look at it in the charts. All right, let's let's go and look at the market share. So this is the total 3. This is something that you can find on TradingView, by the way. So this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, so as you can see, we at the moment have about $750 billion of value. In 2000, so we're still below the levels that we reached in March. So this is why I'm saying Bitcoin is already, in comparative terms, is already up here. This hasn't really even gone, it's touched below market tops in March, but then now it's trading below it again. And there is still quite a way to go from where we are now. Even before we make an all-time high, we need to grow by 50%. So this is what I'm saying, we're not even close to the bull market being started. This is what happened last time around. So this is the last, when I say beginning of December, when we started actually starting to move, actually was towards, really the new year, almost like at the end of December, we're still here. But this is the previous halving was up here. Okay, this would have been the halving somewhere around there. Okay, so and this is the move, the bull market. This hasn't even got started yet. Okay, we just had a post-election rally, but this is the kind of move that I'm waiting for. That would then, this is like 10 to 1. And if you go to the 12 to 1, if you go to the to the top, to the market top, that was like pretty much like a year later. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do the same thing, but I will say that the new move will be in relation to the previous high. So I think I expect to exceed this, the same way that Bitcoin is doing right now. So we should well exceed this level. So from where we are right now, and even if we did, let's say half of the move that we did last time. Okay, let me just make that. That will take us pretty much like 3 times the market that we have got now, generally, for the altcoins, I think. And this is like a very conservative estimate for me. So that's what I'm expecting at the very least. Now, obviously, you're talking about the whole market. So you're saying that the whole market trebles in value. It means there's going to be some coins that do like 50 to 1, some coins that do like 0.5 to 1, something like that. So it's not apply that kind of across the board. You still have to do your due diligence and find out all our projects, what are they doing, how relevant they are, and so on. But if you were to take the whole move, then it's even higher. That would take us to well over 3 times the current levels. Okay, so we'll see what that can take us, but definitely we're nowhere near this. We're just about at the start of this process. I was expecting to see significant moves probably by towards the end of the year, if we're looking at what happened in the past. So look at this. It's almost like there was here an increase in value up to the 27, 28 of November. And then there was a drop again. And then, things really started going strongly after Christmas. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. If we can see a repeat of this, but at the very least, doubling from where we are now will take us pretty much to the previous all-time high. Okay, that list is for the general market cap. If we look at Ethereum, then it's not. You wouldn't need to do a new all-time high, but we're still very far away from that point. Does that help?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, what time is it? Okay, we've got a couple of minutes. Any more questions? No? Okay, guys, so if there are no more questions, I will wish you all a fantastic weekend. If you're coming on to the base camp, then I will see you all. I'll see you all later. If you don't, and you have a weekend somewhere, then enjoy. And I will see you then in this time next week. Remind you that from now on, it will be crypto hour will be at 9 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. Okay. So have a great weekend, and I will see you again next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Luca.